Well, good morning, everyone. I think we're getting everything worked through. So, as as all the audio and video matters get sorted out, I think we'll go ahead and begin. And welcome to our Palmetto College Faculty Senate meeting for today. And thank you all for your attendance. So, just a couple of reminders of when the agenda is displayed on your screen. There's a way that you can manipulate the size of the image on the left using a button there. Look for the one that has a magnifying glass above the document, that button, and that will change the size of the document on your screen. All right, and remember to please stay connected to the session throughout the day. I'll give you another reminder of that later. All right, so anyway, another reminder about that later. So I'm now pleased to introduce to you the Chancellor of Palmetto College, Dr. Susan Elkins. Dr. Elkins, thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much, Chairman Jenkins. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you today in our new virtual format as we continue to operate in these unprecedented times. So as we begin, I'm sure on a positive note, it was a lot easier for everybody to hop on their computer virtually this morning instead of hopping in the car and driving for 2 to 3 hours. So as we begin this week that's approaching Thanksgiving, I think that's something we have to be thankful for this morning. I'd also like to thank USC Sumter for hosting the meeting, and we'll remind Dean Sontag that he's getting off cheap and he still owes us lunch when we get back to normal, right, Dean Sontag? And I know you're not going to speak, but anyway, thanks to Sumter for hosting the meeting. And I'd also like to thank Gene Carano and Daniel and Michael for their assistance. I know they've been helping everybody get on and address any problems this morning. So thanks to our technology wizards for all their great help. And as always, my report is on the screen, and I want to officially begin by always thanking each one of you for your service to the Palmetto College Campus's Faculty Senate. You have full loads without your work on the Senate. We all realize how much you're doing, and we also realize how much work the Senate takes. And this year with our new format, it's probably taking a little bit of extra work. So as always, thanks to every one of you for all that you do every day. So I'll begin by giving you just a brief update on our COVID-19 situation. As we all realize, our #1 priority from day one has been the safety, health, and well-being of the faculty, staff, and students of Palmetto College. So in the planning and preparation stage, I think we could all agree that we've had a very successful fall semester. We're approaching the end. I know our classes are about to conclude next week before Thanksgiving, and then we'll have all of our final exams and the rest of the work virtually. And I think we all realize that we've been very fortunate with the success that we've had with fall semester. As we look forward to spring 2021, we're planning for the same protocol that we've used in fall 2020. And I'll add too that we've been pleased in the last couple of weeks. We've been doing surveys of all our faculty, staff, and students. Last staff survey is going out today for those non-instructional staff members. But we've been trying to solicit opinions from faculty, staff, and students about what's worked well, what needs to be tweaked so that we can do an even better job in the spring of 2021. And so I want to thank those of you who've completed those surveys, and please continue to encourage others to do that because we certainly want your input so that we can continue to make improvements. One recent item that came to our attention just yesterday in some communication from the provost, and we've been talking with Chairman Jenkins this morning and yesterday afternoon, Columbia is now extending their tenure and promotion timeline because of the COVID-19 impact, and it appears that everybody's pretty much in agreement that we would do the same thing, because we certainly want to give those people who are in the tenure promotion process every opportunity and not have challenges from this COVID year. So we'll be hearing more about that as we proceed in my message this afternoon and then next week. From a risk mitigation and reopening plan perspective, I think we've continued to fare really well with the plan that we've dealt with this fall, so that will continue for spring of 2021. And then the deans and I are working right now on a town hall meeting just for Palmetto College to kind of wrap up the fall semester and move us into the spring semester in early December. We realize you've still got classes to finish and exams and grades to get in, but before we all part, we'll do a town hall meeting and we'll let you know a date and time on that seems to be most convenient. From the decision matrix, dashboard, campus conditions perspective, we've continually monitored, as all of you know, throughout the semester. We've realized that the 4 campuses and the areas of the state are certainly not all in the same shape. So we've tried to monitor and make adjustments as needed. We've done weekly reporting through the dashboard and the Chancellor's Friday updates. And I'm really pleased to report that because everybody has done such a good job, the number of cases throughout the semester have remained in the single digits across all the campuses combined. I don't think we've had a week where we've been in the double digits, thanks to all the excellent work that everybody's been doing in trying to keep yourself safe and your students and all of the Palmetto College families safe. So we'll continue to do that through the spring semester. All right, moving on from the COVID update to our business as usual. I'm thrilled to let you know that our fall enrollment numbers have looked good. And, you know, we all realize that that's critical. I mean, our purpose is to serve students. And so having good enrollment is at the very core and heart of what we do. And also certainly affects our revenue. And there were many, many uncertainties at the beginning of this semester. At a time when enrollment across the country, especially for 2-year institutions, has been significantly down from 10 to 20%. So, you know, we were very concerned. The enrollment managers, the deans, those who work with enrollment, all of you as faculty and staff in working to help us grow enrollment, continue to do a great job. So our overall Palmetto College enrollment has increased 2.63%. Our total last year was 6,355, and our total this year, for the first time ever, we've topped 6,500. So last year was our first year ever to top 6,000, and this year is our first year to top 6,500. Now that increase consists of our campuses head count increased 0.57% from 5117 to 5146, and that was done in conjunction with delivery of about 47% online, 43% face-to-face, and 8 to 9% hybrid classes. So it was great to see our campuses have a slight increase when, again, around the country, that's certainly not what we're seeing. The Palmetto College on-campus degree completion programs, those face-to-face 2+2 programs decreased slightly from 111 to 104. But we do have some new programs coming on next year, with especially nursing at Union and Sumter with USC Aiken, that should help those numbers, and hopefully we can continue to grow those opportunities for our students. Palmetto College Columbia stayed stable with our Palmetto Pathway students. We had 50 last year. We started with 50, we lost 1, so we're at 49, but relatively flat there. Our Fort Jackson enrollment, 280 compared to 325. And BLS and BOL. So for BLS, we've lost a few students from 166 down to 145, and BOL from 148 to 147. So again, fairly flat there. And then the big increase that we've had is in our online programs, and I'm sure that wouldn't surprise anybody. The online programs are faring very well. We had an increase of 13.57% from 1120 last fall to 1272 this fall. So again, those numbers add up to an overall enrollment increase in Palmetto College of 2.63%, and our first time to top 6,500. And of course, it certainly helps to have stable revenue to go with the enrollment, especially in these challenging times. So as I just briefly report on our fall semester priorities, and as we're working on spring planning, of course, the campus reopening for the fall and risk mitigation was at the top of the list. So now that we're almost through fall, that remains at the top of the list, especially given the conditions that we're all seeing with the COVID increases in South Carolina and around the country. So now we're working on reopening spring and continuing to mitigate risk. That's the rest of this semester as well as in the spring. I've just reported on recruitment, retention, enrollment, the budget for this fall. I'm thrilled to tell you that our spring numbers look very healthy. The deans meet every Tuesday on enrollment, and then we have a bigger enrollment meeting every Thursday afternoon. And yesterday, Joe Muse, our assistant dean for enrollment management, reported that our spring enrollment is looking very strong as well, up considerably from this time last year. So we want those trends to continue. So my last couple of items, you've heard me talk about SACs. Here I always try to talk about those big picture items that affect everybody. And this is the year of our 10-year SACS COC review. And we are actually in the process for that review as we speak. The offsite visit was last weekend, and yesterday and today our SACS vice president that's assigned to us is actually doing her virtual visit. So right in the throes of the SACS work. The university now knows there were about 15 standards where there's some work to be done, and I'm pleased to say that nothing was singled out with Palmetto College. There may be some things that are affect us that were a part of the bigger university report, but we're working through all those. And I really want to thank David Hunter and Chris Nesmith, who are our two key point people on SACS, along with the deans and the academic deans and all of you who have been involved. You don't realize it's a huge amount of work. So a lot of work on SACS continues, and that will be concluded in the spring semester. My fifth item on fall semester priorities is the Palmetto College strategic plan that we're working on in conjunction with the president's new plan for the University of South Carolina. So we'll have more out to you as we begin spring semester. There's been a lot of work done trying to work on the alignment, but we'll all take a break, and then in the spring we'll have more to share with you as we finalize our Palmetto College plan. All right, with that said, let me end with a few accomplishments from all around the state, from all of our campuses, and then I'll be happy to entertain your questions. So USC Lancaster, Salkehatchie, and Sumter have just had the TRIO program grants awarded. These are awarded on a 5-year cycle. So we're thrilled that those three campuses have just been awarded more than $1 million. Excuse me, I think my allergies are kicking in this morning. But they've been awarded those TRIO grants, and those grants are just instrumental in supporting the work that we do with income challenged and first generation college students. So in honor of this accomplishment, President Caslen awarded the U of SC President's Coin of Excellence to Matt Williamson from USC Lancaster, Toya Robinson from USC Salkehatchie, and Lisa Rosdale from USC Sumter recently. And that was an honor to see those people who've worked so diligently to get those TRIO grants be recognized by the President's Coin of Excellence. At USC Union, we're thrilled to report that they've just received a Timken Foundation grant to purchase 24 new microscopes for their virtual reality lab in the Science and Nursing building. This goes hand in hand with the new nurses bachelor's degree in nursing program that will be offered in partnership with USC Aiken. At Palmetto College Columbia, we were thrilled to have students and faculty from all across Palmetto College inducted into Alpha Sigma Lambda, the Adult Honor Society. On October 22nd, we had a virtual induction ceremony, and we have huge thanks to Dean Cox and Ms. Jean Carano for the planning and executing of that outstanding virtual event on behalf of Palmetto College. And while I'm mentioning Jean, we certainly want to thank her for all that she's doing for this meeting and her support of the Senate and all of our faculty efforts. Then finally, I'm thrilled to report to you that from Palmetto College Central, we've just been awarded nearly $500,000, $431,000 through the Rural Utilities Service Distance Learning and Telemedicine Grant, funding to purchase new technology to continue to update the two-way video classrooms across Palmetto College. So this is the second such grant we've received for a total of nearly $1 million, allowing all of our Palmetto College distance learning classrooms updated. And I'll say that when Palmetto College first launched, one of the key efforts that the Senate wanted to work on and that we've all worked on together was making sure we could upgrade that equipment so that faculty had a better experience as well as students. So I'm thrilled to let you know that this $1 million will have, once the grant has been implemented, we will have upgraded all of the rooms on all the campuses. And we all owe a huge thank you to Bob Dyer, who actually led the effort, wrote the grants, and then he and the IT teams across each of the campuses and here in Columbia have done a great job updating all the rooms, and then they'll be doing the final updates this next summer after the spring semester concludes. We can't say enough to thank Bob and our IT teams for their work on this grant, along with everything that they've done to support our virtual infrastructure during these very difficult days as we all had to pivot and use the technology for everything. So with that said, I always want to conclude by thanking each of you again, Chairman Jenkins for all of your work, the executive committee. I know you do a lot of work between meetings, members of the Senate, our deans, faculty, staff, and the PC support team, because I think we all are very grateful that we have one outstanding Palmetto College team working together to support students across. So this concludes my report. Happy to entertain any questions, and please know how much I appreciate all that you do every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. Any questions?
Thank you again so much.
Thank you. Okay. Our next report is from our Associate Provost, Dr. John Colonna.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm going to send this full report to Dr. Lowndes, but I'll give you the highlights of what's going on. The TMP yearly update. Of course, we have 2 applications for tenure and promotion to associate professor, 2 applications for promotion to professor. The files are currently with the local TMP committees. The candidates will receive notice of the committee's recommendations by December 1st. They then go to the deans. The deans will finish those up and get them to the Palmetto College TMP committee by early January. So everything's on time and everything's moving along the way it should. The TMP workshop this year is going to be held Friday, January 22nd. Dr. Obie Johnson has indicated it's going to be held virtually. More information will come out on that. Dr. Reinhardt's in her second year working with PC assessment. She and Bob Dyer are testing the new PC Carolina Core assessment program. They're working with artifacts from GSS, GHS, and ARP. We're going to assess AIU, GFL, and VSR in the spring. If your course is randomly selected, we would greatly appreciate you helping out. And any questions that you might have on assessment, please contact Dr. Reinhardt. She's the person who handles this and really can answer any question. Again, thank Bob Dyer when you see him. I'm down in Columbia most of the time now, and I can tell you that by this summer, when all of this new grant money is implemented, you're going to be working with better equipment than almost anyone in Columbia. So thank Bob when you see him. It's really important. I'll send the full report to Dr. Lowndes today, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Dr. Colonna? Okay, thank you. All right, Our reports from our Palmetto College campus deans are next. And up first is Dean Ron Cox from Palmetto College, Columbia. Dean Cox.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and greetings, senators. I am going to share my screen, and we'll try to go through fairly quickly here. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to the Senate on some of the goings-on both at Palmetto College, Columbia, as well as some of the roles that I have in representing Palmetto College as a whole in other areas. In terms of the Palmetto pathway, our cohort remains at 49 students. We are still working on advising students for the spring schedule. And I just want to say thank you again, as always, for all of the faculty across this Palmetto College who have taught, who are teaching, or who are going to be teaching in this program. It is a team effort, and we could not do it without you. It's been a challenge this semester for the students, their first semester of college, in the midst of all the unusual factors of COVID, but they're really a good group, and they're looking forward to the spring, and we're looking forward to hopefully some more normal times in the spring. In terms of BLS and BOL, here you see the degree enrollments, and this is where they stand right now. It says pre-freeze on here, but these are actually the numbers. So we did go down a little bit in BLS. We went up a little bit in BOL, total of 18 down. We've had 46 students who've applied for graduation. I always like to see that number because that's why we exist. This is where our enrollment currently stands with 120, 57 BLS and BOL. So we do still have some continuing students that we're getting advised. The Lexington Transfer Center, we are still negotiating with them. They've expressed interest in working with Palmetto College for some upper level foreign language courses, and have been working with them and with folks at USC Sumter to try to build some additional opportunities there. As far as Fort Jackson goes, we're still working on the memorandum of understanding to get it approved. The changes to the bulletin description that this Senate approved back in its previous meeting back in September have been approved by the provost. By the chancellor. We'll get those over to the provost. We had 285 students enrolled in 21 courses through Fort Jackson in fall of 2020. Most of these were, yes, USC Columbia students. Checked yesterday, and we have currently, we already have 276 pre-registered for 19 courses in the spring. So our numbers out there are looking pretty good. And on November 11th, the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Veterans Service Center was held over on the Horseshoe. That service center is actually down on the first level of the Burns building, where I am right now. As far as Cato goes, we have continued to meet monthly. Our next meeting is going to include members of USC undergraduate admission, so I'll be sharing that information because there's a big, it's an understanding, I hear this in Cato a lot, about what we are doing really relies a lot on what happens in the admissions offices. So they'll be coming in. Each of our campuses has established its own local diversity committee, and I've met with most of them. All of the campuses, save one, has identified who their representative to the Central Diversity Council will be. So once we have that, we'll have our central meeting there. And we did submit some funding initiatives, including the University of Possibilities, to the upper administration based on priorities that are in the President's strategic plan. If you've seen the President's strategic plan, diversity plays a pretty big role in there. You've heard me talk a lot about the REACH Act, which is an act going through the General Assembly requiring college students in public colleges in South Carolina to be familiar with historical documents in American history. We got the word from just lost her name, Dr. Kelly, Sandra, that on October 7th, the Senate voted to add the following statement into the undergraduate bulletins between Carolina Core and Special Academic Opportunities. All undergraduate students must take 3 credit-hour course or equivalent passing grade in one of these areas: history, political science, or African American studies, covering these documents that are listed in here. And the course may count as part of program of study, including the core, the major content, major or minor or cognate, or the general elective. What is possibly a little confusing here, and we'll try not to, the way the wording of the law is, it applies to baccalaureate students. The wording here in the bulletin does not seem to note that it applies only to baccalaureate students. That could lead to some confusion for our AA and AS students. It could also potentially be an issue for some of our students in BLS and BOL if they're coming in from a technical college and did not get these documents included in whatever core courses they took at the technical college. This is something Columbia is going to deal with as well, but I thought we did need to at least be aware of it, and we're going to get some clarification on how USC is going to apply this particular new requirement. But it's supposed to go into effect for students who are entering in the fall of 2021. For the old QEP, what's now called the Center for Integrative and Experiential Learning, the committee met virtually earlier this week. A lot of discussions about the challenges due to COVID. If you're working with students who are in GLD, Graduation with Leadership Distinction, you've probably encountered that. If they do travel study internships, COVID has had a major impact on these opportunities and probably will continue to for quite some time. There is a new name for the updated QAP. They're calling it Experience by Design, and they're working on a big branding campaign that's going to become more official as we approach the SACS visit. The SACS visit was a big focus of our discussion. There's also a lot of discussion about increasing our emphasis on trying to encourage the Pell eligible, first generation, or other underrepresented students to participate in GLD. Of course, this fits in perfectly with the students that we serve on our campuses. So we're going to be a big part of this, I believe. And then as far as faculty staff news goes, Dr. Julia Elliott has had, she's got a podcast out there, and also her class with the Honors College worked on a feminist horror series, which can be streamed with your USC ID and password. The links for both of these items, for both the podcast and the course materials, if you're interested, because it's some pretty interesting stuff, they are in my full report, which I've submitted to the secretary. Dr. Shelley Jones, Associate Professor of English, she's had an article accepted for publication in Essays in Romanticism. It'll be forthcoming this fall. Ms. Melissa Lowe, who is Student Services Manager, inducted into Alpha Sigma Lambda Honor Society in recognition of her fantastic work on behalf of all students, but particularly non-traditional. Palmetto College Palmetto College Central has hired 2 academic professional advisors, Jacob Bratcher and Chelsea Corbett. They began their virtual duties on October 1st. The PC Columbia faculty unanimously agreed to an annual evaluation procedure based on the calendar, not academic year, at its recent faculty meeting, and so that puts us in line with, I think, all of our other sister campuses. And rather sadly, Dr. John Abdallah, many of you may know, has announced that this semester will be his swan song. He has served many years in the many incarnations of this particular unit, and we are going to miss him sorely. And that brings me to the conclusion of my report. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I know there's going to be a report from the Academic Advisory Committee this afternoon, so I'll be around then as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dean Cox. All right. So next is Dean Walt Collins from USC Lancaster. Dean Collins.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for letting me share just a little bit about some updates from USC Lancaster. Hope everyone's doing well. Our enrollment for fall 2020 topped the fall 19 enrollment by almost 10.5%. So we We're at a headcount freeze number of 1,810 students, and our FTE, full-time equivalent student number, was up almost 4.5%. So we're very grateful to our admissions recruitment and enrollment teams there in that office, but also to the many faculty and staff advisors who helped get students into classes for this fall. Very grateful for that work. We have 2 searches in progress, and one of those is for an assistant librarian tenure track. And we have gone through the first round of interviews and have determined that any remaining campus-related interviews or visits will be virtual, and they will take place in the spring 2021 semester. We have also finished a search for Director of Student Success and Retention, and that we have made an offer. That offer has been accepted, and we're happy to welcome Ms. Ashley Schreier to USC Lancaster to serve in this capacity starting December 7th. She comes to us from the Office of Undergraduate Research at USC Columbia, where she is Associate Director of Student Services. So we're excited to welcome her to our campus. I want to hit some faculty accomplishments. Dr. Todd Lecken has, our new Associate Dean, has established a recent faculty accomplishments webpage on our website, and there will be a link to that page in my report. But I want to also share these with you as well. So, and several of these have a lot of things happening. So I'll start by talking about Dr. Lisa Hammond, who is professor of English. Several of her poems have been published or recognized recently for their excellence. Hydrangeas was her poem Hydrangeas was selected from more than 400 submissions as the winner of the Saluda River Prize for Poetry for the Jasper Project, and it will be published in Fall Lines later this year. The poem and an interview with Dr. Hammond was featured on the Jasper Project blog, and also include a new poem entitled Elizabeth Warren Dreams of Kissing Babies, and another poem, Many Moons, was chosen by the Poet Laureate of the City of Columbia to be published in the booklet Poetry on the Comet, Right on Time, and that will be featured on the Central Midlands Regional Transit Authority buses. In addition, her poem entitled To a Son Leaving Home for College was published this summer in Sheltered, South Carolina Artists Respond During the 2020 Pandemic. So congratulations to Dr. Hammond on those recent successes. By the way, Dr. Hammond is also, some of you know this, has also accepted a position in the provost office in USC Columbia as Director of Faculty Affairs. She splits her time 75-25 with the provost office, and will still be teaching and working with us here at USC Lancaster some as well. Professor Gardner in art, she's been invited to be a part of a media campaign for the National Association of Women Artists. She will be featured as the Artist of the Day in April. The date is April 7th, 2021, and she'll be featured along with her work and her bio and some different photos on the National Association for Women Artists Instagram and Facebook pages on that date. Her piece entitled Alpha Beta won first place in the juried exposition Small Chapters at the Coastal Discovery Museum in Hilton Head. The show runs through November 30th. She also has 5 pieces accepted for the exhibit Textile Impact at the Anderson Arts Center in Anderson, South Carolina. The exhibit showcases, quote, a range of textile works highlighting the diversity of processes, materials, and presentation within this wide medium and industry. And that show goes from December 8th to January 28th. And some of the, Professor Gardner's other noteworthy achievements include, let's see, Some Like It Hot, National Association of Women Artists South Carolina chapter, which includes artists from South Carolina, Florida, and Massachusetts. And this is an online-only exhibit which opened in August and is still accessible online. The 131st Members exhibition, National Association of Women Artists, includes artists from across the United States. This year's exhibit is online only, but it is traditionally held in New York City, and that happened last month. Professor Mary Beth Berry, Theater and Speech, has helped produce 2 theatrical productions, plays this semester. In October, her students performed The Scarlet Letter outside on our campus, and it was limited seating outside for two sessions, and then it was also streamed on the third day. It was streamed virtually online. And then just last weekend, Professor Berry performed an original play entitled On the Spectrum, and that was performed virtually and was disseminated online. Sorry, there's one other thing here for Professor Gardner. An exhibit called Inspirational Journeys is on display at the Vendu Art Hotel in Charleston, and that continues face-to-face through November 30th and is also online. Professor Chris Judge for Archaeology and Anthropology has co-authored a paper entitled Watery Bug Ceramic Motif, which was published in the journal Legacy by the South Carolina Institute of Archaeology and Anthropology. The paper examines the possible origin and cultural significance of images of the bug on ceramic vessels. And the Archaeological Society of South Carolina also featured Professor Judge in its interactive video entitled Ask an Archaeologist. And finally, Professor Judge served as the curator of Share a Little of That Human Touch, an exhibit that he put together. And the link will be in my report. The link goes to the Prehistory of the South Carolina exhibit. Dr. Todd Lecken, Professor of Philosophy and USC Lancaster's Associate Dean, has published an article entitled The Mask as Metaphor, Deweyan Reflections in the Time of a Pandemic in Dewey Studies, just this fall. So this is a special volume of invited authors with a goal of short and timely pieces on the pandemic and police violence written from a Deweyan perspective. And then we had a cohort of 4 USC Lancaster faculty and staff members to write a successful grant funded by the Horizon Grant program with the Aris Foundation. The title of the grant was Clever Campaign Literacy Educates Voters to Encourage Responsibility. And our faculty and staff were Dr. Stephen Campbell in political science, Ms. Danielle Falconberry, Palmetto College coordinator, Mr. Brandon Newton, campus outreach and adjunct instructor of business, and Ms. Riley Waiters, director of student life. And the project has as its goal to encourage voter education, registration, and responsibility. A couple of other quick things. USC Lancaster had 2 projects in a list of projects with the Lancaster County Capital Project Sales Tax Program that were listed as a referendum during the election earlier this month, and those projects were approved. So over the next several years, we will receive funding to the sum of $1 million for better and safer crosswalks over the bypass here on the south side of our campus, connecting the campus to town, and then $1 million toward infrastructure for the enhancement and facility expansion for our Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. Our campus master plan was completed in late September, and I have a link to that campus master plan in my report, so you can take a look at that yourself. I've got information about the next Lunch and Learn at the Native American Studies Center as well in my report. The date is December 11th, and there's an email address in my report where you can receive the sign-on information for that event next month. Native American Studies Week concludes today with Lunch and Learn in 15 minutes at a virtual Lunch and Learn at noon, and I have a link to the flyer, even though it's basically over after the noon event. But if you want to just see what it was all about, you can take a look at that in my report. And I'll conclude with one other thing. Dr. Sarah Selhorst and Dr. Liz Easley, who are both in exercise science, are the sponsors of the USC Lancaster Research Club, which is putting on a year-long virtual conference. Dr. Elkins referenced this in her newsletter last Friday, but I also have some more information in my report today with some links about how to get involved, how to participate. Everything is virtual, and it features students and faculty and staff, and it's all kinds of social media platform takeovers and lectures and those kinds of things. So please take a minute to check that out, and maybe even you could consider submitting something to the virtual conference as well. It will continue through April 2021. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Okay, D. Collins, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, next is D. Chris Nestor for your USC Salkehatchie, who I believe was unable to make it for today, but I believe we do have Dr. Brian Love, who will report on USC Salkehatchie. So, D. Love, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins, and it's good to be with everyone this morning. I am substituting for Dean Nesmith. I'm a shabby substitute, but I will try to run through the highlights of the report that he provided for me. He is, I believe, in a meeting pertaining to SACS, which is occupying a lot of time and energy these days for obvious reasons, and Chancellor Elkins discussed that a little bit earlier this morning. So the first part of the update for our campus is a COVID update. We've had 14 cases since classes started, 12 students, 2 staff, no outbreaks and no evidence of spread within classrooms or on campus. So we feel like we've done pretty well with that. We've held several on-campus testing events with both DHEC and with USC Columbia Student Health on both of our campuses recently. Brief enrollment update. Overall headcount was down this fall. A lot of that had to do with not being able to have a lot of non-degree students because of COVID, but our full-time enrollment was up slightly over fall 2019. In campus news, our campus hosted the USC System Academic Leadership Program in Walterboro on November 6th. It's a good event, and it was a great day for it, and I was happy to be able to participate in that as an alumnus of the program and see the new class coming through. We showed off the nursing sim lab. It was a good day. We're involved in a rural broadband initiative to bring high-speed internet access to Allendale. We're going to provide a Wi-Fi antenna on top of the ETV tower on our campus and provide a free public Wi-Fi hotspot on campus for the community. New and existing grant programs. We are establishing a new STEM coordinator position for our campus, and a search for that particular position is currently active. In the spring, we'll be holding a search for a new Leadership Institute director. Assistant Dean of Student Services, Jane Brewer, has announced her retirement effective December 31st after 42 years of service to the Sauk campus. Dean Brewer's service to the campus has been legendary. Her absence next year will be felt by all. You know, I will miss her. I know everyone on our campus will miss her. I know many of you know her and will miss her. I don't think she'll be able to get all the way out of being involved from campus, at least not immediately. But I think Dean Nesmith talked about it at the last Senate meeting. But when COVID hit, Dean Brewer volunteered to have her personal cell phone number posted on our website to serve as essentially a one-person helpline and kind of direct students to whatever they happen to need. And it really speaks to her and the type of person she is and how much she cares. And I know it was a lot of work, and I know it was frustrating sometimes, but I know she did it with a song in her heart. And that says all you need to know about her. Our baseball coach, Jeremy Joy, has been named as athletics director. He will start in that position in January. Of course, that's a position that Jane Brewer held. And I should mention that we do have a search for a new assistant dean for student success and retention, and that is getting started now. Developments and grants. USDA Rural Development Grants for forensic chemistry equipment is in process, and also we received a gift in the amount of $190,000 from the Daly family to create the Bernard N. Daly Endowed Scholarship Fund. Chancellor Elkins mentioned the USDA DLT grant, which we're very excited about. A few faculty accomplishments to wrap things up. Dr. Brian Lai, professor of mathematics, and former Salk student John Risher presented some of their work at the virtual Fall Indiana Mathematical Association of America section meeting on October 3rd. The title of their presentation was Generalizing Inequalities Using Power Series Approach. Also, Dr. Lakendra Padel, who's assistant professor of mathematics, is a session organizer and presented work at the virtual Fall Southeastern sectional meeting hosted by the American Mathematical Society October 10th and 11th. His presentation was titled Some Results on Star Operations. Dr. Justin Magilski published a book chapter titled Parental Investment Theory in the Sage Handbook of Evolutionary Psychology. And I also want to briefly mention that Dr. Magilski spearheaded and organizes our Salkehatchie Scholarly Research Forum, which features scholarship by faculty and students and staff in some cases. And that group hosted 4 events over the past couple of months. And that's my report. If there are any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Steve Love. Okay, next is DeRay DeLow, UC Union. DeLow.
There we go. Okay. There we go.
Yeah,
Right. There it is.
yeah. Right. Thanks.
Yeah, it worked before. I don't know, it didn't work that time. There we go. Okay. All right. So things are going well here in Union for fall enrollment. The overall head count was a little bit down from last year's all-time record, but a key part of that, the kind of regular student enrollment, continued to increase. It kind of builds on these trends that we've seen in the past 5 and 10 years. Over the past 5 years, we've seen a 29% increase in first-time full-time freshmen, and over the past 10 years, a 68% increase in terms of that 10-year change. So we're happy to see that continue to go in the right direction. Our athletic teams, they were able to have some scrimmages and some exhibitions this fall. All the formal competition for the NJCAA for those teams got pushed to spring, but they were able to still get in some competition this fall. This also included our women's volleyball team. It's a new team for us, and this year they started out as a club team, but next fall they'll enter NJCAA. So that's exciting to get them into action. And some other kind of student things here. We had a couple of our students, Tommy LaChance and Caden Jackson, presented on some of their research at the U.S. Union Research Club's virtual fall colloquium. That was last week, and that work was on personality, social media, and meditation, and that was recorded. So anybody who wants to check that out, we have the link to that. But it also is going to be featured in the aforementioned year-long virtual conference that Lancaster Research Club is putting on. So I think that's going to be the week after Thanksgiving that we'll have some union students and faculty featured in that week-long piece of that virtual conference. Looking ahead to spring, enrollment's looking like it'll be at least flat, if not up a little bit from last spring, based on the way things are going. And we'll have at this point a fairly big increase in in-person classes on the schedule in the spring. About 2/3 of them at this point are scheduled to be in person on campus. We've had pretty low COVID numbers this fall, so I think that's helped with that. In terms of some faculty accomplishments, our assistant professor of fine arts, Jennifer Emsweiler, recently had her artwork included in Fusion Arts online international juried art exhibition that has submissions from all over the world featured in it. The link to that is included in my report that I'll submit. And part of some of this newer artwork that she's created with using some resins, she also shared with us some details about that creative process during that Research Club virtual fall colloquium. So that will also be one of the things that the Lancaster Club includes in that Union Week in a couple weeks. Additionally, we had our full-time instructor of Spanish, French, and Italian, Kevin Torres. He also presented during that same virtual fall colloquium on some of his research on the Holocaust, and he's also volunteered to have that included in Lancaster's Union Week in a couple weeks. But additionally, he also recently got some good news that he was accepted into an MBA program to kind of expand on his knowledge and then eventually be able to expand on his course offerings here for us in Union as well. There is a new student organization on campus that was launched this semester, the Bantam Health and Fitness Club, by faculty co-supervisors Jennifer Emsweiler and Dr. Emily Schaefer. So we're excited to see that club pick up some momentum and be another thing that can help students kind of engage. Staff-wise, we had a milestone celebrated by our financial aid director, Bobby Holcomb. He has now worked for the campus for more than 30 years. So that's, I think many of you have had the opportunity to interact with him, and he does a great job for us. And then the Union County Carnegie Library that houses our U.S. Union Library has just been named the winner of the InnoVision Award in the community service category due to their efforts to expand broadband access in Union County. So they're really excited about that. Some facility things going on. We got the new student services building that opened up at the beginning of the semester on Main Street next to the bookstore. So now we have our admissions and our financial aid together in that building, and they're right next to the bookstore. So all of those things are in one convenient location now. Recently completed a new lactation room on campus in the main building on the 3rd floor. So that is ready to use for students, faculty, and staff. It has 2 private kind of stations within that room. We also have the project going on in the old library, and that's well underway. They're remaining on track with that and look to be done by the start of January with it. And that'll include 4 new classrooms, 4 new faculty offices. 2 of those classrooms are going to be specifically designed as active learning classrooms for world language in particular. So those will be some really nice spaces. We also have some new carpeting and paint going into academic affairs over in the main building after Thanksgiving. There is a project that is in the beginning stages for the new simulation labs for our Aiken BSN program on campus here, and that'll go into the old post office building and should be able to be completed by next summer in time for use next fall. We also have just begun the planning of converting the Founders House on campus into a new fine arts space that will connect to the campus's sustainable garden. So that should be well underway as soon as that building is available in January. And we also have some preliminary projects involving ADA restroom upgrades, security hardware upgrades on campus that we'll be able to get launched after the spring semester ends. So a lot of things going on campus. The budget's in really good shape. At the 33% point of the year, we were 32.6% of expenses out, so we were still on target for that. Revenue-wise, for tuition revenue, we ended up in good shape because of some really good summer revenue in particular, and also some really good PC revenue this fall. So all those things are right on track. And we were also really excited about this 80.2% success rate for the Union campus for first-time full-time freshmen entering in fall 2015, which is the best rate in the state of South Carolina among all two-year institutions based on CHE data. So we're really excited to celebrate that. But that concludes my report, and I'll get this submitted to Dr. Lowndes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know. Okay. So, all right. Is our next items up? Yes. So just stay connected as we continue, and when the time comes, you'll be moved automatically into your committees, and then again stay connected there, and again when the time comes, we'll all be reconvened.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Dean Sontag of Sumter was skipped.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. All right. My apologies.
Nice try though. We try it in other meetings and it doesn't work there either.
Oh no. I think I just skipped the line looking at the agenda. My apologies. Thank you. Yes, Dean Sontag, and who is also our host team today. Please, yes. Sontag, thank you.
Well, when you skipped me, Ernest, I thought, well, he's saving the best for last, but obviously that wasn't the case. So, thank you. Let me see. I'm going to try to share my screen. And Ron, thank you for alerting about that. Okay, can you all see my PowerPoint at this point?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wonderful. Tell me if volume or anything changes. I want to start off by saying thank you to Gene and all the other folks who put these meetings together every time we have them, and they seem to work well. And it's really neat to see everybody learning how to use the technology and using it well. So thank all of you who are behind the scenes. The other thing that my next slide shows are faculty achievements, if I can get it to move. There it is. I'm just impressed, and I'm sure the other deans and Dr. Elkins are as well, when you think about the enormous task that has faced our faculty since March. Basically overnight, having to turn their classes to online delivery or hybrid delivery, and then to do the same thing in the fall, just bowls me over how well they've done it. I don't know about the other deans, but I have gotten very, very few complaints from students. Those that we've gotten have not necessarily been, due to things that the faculty could have easily done something about. And in spite of all that, and in spite of excelling in that environment and that teaching environment and continuing to do what they do. To have, on my campus, you see, we have 13 faculty that have produced 22 publications, presentations, or other awards or so forth. And that's just since the last Senate meeting. And we've heard it all morning. So kudos to all of you. I'm saying it to all the campuses of how proud of you all that I am personally and professionally, and especially to my faculty on our campus. And I say I apologize for that, our faculty, but I have a real kinship with all of them. And I'm just exceedingly proud to be associated with USC Sumter and the faculty that we have, and to continue to add new faculty and strong faculty. So thank you all who are in attendance today for what you continue to do. Cher Chetri had 2 presentations. I'm probably not going to read out all the titles of these things since you can see my screen. In his area in mathematics, he did a poster presentation. Of note there is that was with an undergraduate student at USC Sumter. That's always a wonderful experience for a student to partner with a faculty member. Frankly, that's one of the things that pushed me into academia. As a professor approached me and asked me to, I can't see it anymore. Can y'all?
The content?
Okay, my screen went down. Thank you. A professor reached out to me and asked me to do some research with them, and that, I never looked back from there. So I think that's cool when people do that. Pearl Fernandez and Dan Kiernan have had 2 presentations virtually. They often involve students as well. Christina Grobe has had an op-ed published, won a good job, major in philosophy. She presented 2 sessions at the October Best Teaching Symposium. A lot of focus on teaching and learning and how to improve that process, and glad to have her working in that space. Margaret Hughes is teaching at yoga at Fort Jackson in a national pilot program to see if yoga reduces PTSD and injuries among new recruits. She's also delivering a course to faculty and staff on our campus and students on yoga. I regrettably signed up for the class, and it's Tuesday night, and I haven't been able to attend a single one due to other commitments that I have, but I hear it's going very well. Austin Jenkins I think he's found his niche. He's turning out some great nature videos for the South Carolina Wildlife Federation and for his own classes. Again, highlight Dr. Kiernan and his work in collaboration with Dr. Fernandez. Same 2 things cited there. Christina Lunsman, who is our new director in the education program with Aiken, had a manuscript published with some of her colleagues. It's in press, and she's received 2 grants for her nonprofit, the Bike Box Project, which she started before she came here. So already in a very short term, bringing money to support her work. Ray McManus continues to do great things in his world of poetry. I'm going to let you read those titles yourself, but they sound interesting. I haven't heard them yet, but look forward to it. The second one that he has there has been nominated for a Pushcart Prize, so that's great. Dr. Nandi and his colleagues continue to generate great research on supply chain and how that applies to our economy. Damian Picarillo had a book review published and has written a couple of op-eds, which always are well received. He does a very good job of dealing with difficult issues in a rather conservative local newspaper, and I think he does a great job there. He didn't list it, send it to us, but I wanted to mention he did a virtual Constitution Day, and there's a link to that somewhere on our website if you were interested in seeing how he did that. That was a fun project. Michelle Reese had her poem Growing Up published in the Citron Review. Bianca Rowlett presented a paper at the Sense Suffrage Symposium by the Carolyn Marshall Drone Center for the Arts and Humanities at Auburn. Her paper was entitled From Democrat to Neoconservative, The Politics of Ambassador Jean J. Kilpatrick. She also moderated and commented on a panel entitled Women's Politics Today. So Dr. Rowlett continuing her work and scholarship on Jean Kirkpatrick. And finally, Dan Stanforth, who is a new colleague that has come on this year. I cannot read the Spanish, I'm sorry about that, but the English translation is Reflections on the Legislative and Judicial Evolution of Women's Rights in Spain from the Second Republic to the Present. So again, a new hire that's going gangbusters right out of the gate. So again, very, very proud of all the work that our faculty do, and despite all the hard work that the COVID has brought to teaching and just everyday life, frankly. If I can get it to go to the next slide. I can't remember if I reported on this in our last meeting or not, but we have several awards on our campus where faculty are recognized for various things. Austin Jenkins won SGA Teacher of the Year. Carolina Cruz won our Hugh T. Stoddard Senior Faculty Member of the Year award. And Damian Picarillo and Santosh Nandi tied, or both were awarded the Jean-Luc Grosso Outstanding Faculty Award. That was started in honor of Dr. Grosso, that many of you probably knew. Campus and athletic activities. And again, I was trying to keep this in my 10 minutes, so I haven't included everything, but we hosted the Bigger Wednesday golf tournament today. We're doing that today. The sponsorships are up. I think we had like close to 80 teams, which is 80 individuals, which is huge compared to the past. So folks wanting to get outside and in the fresh air and help support scholarships for our students. Our education students volunteered in October at a pumpkin patch and helped children paint pumpkins. I'll say a bit more about that in a minute. The SGA has been especially active this semester, which is ironic given COVID. Kara Samuels is the president. They're using Facebook and Instagram accounts that they set up specifically for the SGA to help send out information about services like tutoring and counseling. So much like some of you probably know, Columbia has been using students to get the messages out about services that they're providing for COVID and those sort of things. Our students picked up on that same idea and are doing it as well. They created an initiative they call Look Out, Reach Out to raise awareness about mental health among the student body. And they're currently hosting a gift drive for Operation Christmas Child, which collects gifts for underprivileged kids. We've hired a new men's soccer coach, Brett Gould. Unfortunately, though, we have made the decision not to play soccer this year. We will pick it back up in the fall. We've hit some recruiting problems due to COVID, but we have the coach in place to get busy with recruiting. We've hosted clinics for women's soccer and softball for high school athletes. The men's golf team hosted a golf tournament fundraiser in September. And just in the last day or so, we hired Jeffrey Davis to be our Director of Buildings and Grounds. That's been a position that's needed to be filled, and we're looking forward to having someone to take on the physical plant and grounds issues on a more permanent basis. Our two new programs, new-ish, the nursing, the BSN with Aiken, that union is also involved in. We have 133 applicants for this year. We admitted 67 and they enrolled, admitted and enrolled 67. So that's a large number for the eventual cohort of 16 that we will admit in 2021, fall 2021. Education, we had 69 applicants for the year, 52 admitted and enrolled. And Christina Lunsman, who I mentioned earlier, messaged us from Aiken this morning where they had they're having graduation commencement tonight at 6 o'clock, but they had a pinning ceremony this morning, and we had our first student, this young lady here in the front row, who was there. So that's our first USC Aiken at Sumter education student graduating. Let me talk about enrollment a bit, and I'm going to share these slides. And what I do, I'm kind of a numbers guy. Every year when the CHE abstract comes out, which it just did recently, I update these graphs for our campus, but I've also updated some for your campuses and shared them with your deans, and I'll talk about those in just a little bit. You'll see we're at 1387 for fall, which is a little bit up, less than 2% up, but still up. 27 students from last year at 1360. So the trend in 6 or 7 years has been up. We had a little blip here. We lost a big high school. Well, we lost Sumter High Schools for 1 year in dual enrollment, and that hurt us in 2016. This green line shows you that this is the highest enrollment we've had in about 25 years, since 1995. So we continue that trend up and are very, very happy about that. To have grown despite COVID. Spring, we're still waiting to see, but seems to be going in a relatively positive direction. And I think several of the deans have mentioned budget. I don't have a slide for that, but our budget is, we're ahead of where we budgeted, but we budgeted low. So we're a little bit behind where we were last year. But again, we knew to be conservative and budget low, and we're definitely within the parameters that we need to be in on that. So very happy about that. Very nice for us. Article came out in October 30th from the Sumter Item, our local paper. It was about CCTC, which most of you know we share a hedge. We've taken the hedge down, but we share side-by-side parking lots. They were down. They're down about 17% according to this article. But it was nice. It ended with, they called us saying USC Sumter bucked national trends, and we're actually up 2% for the fall. So that was nice. It's nice when someone else kind of toots your horn for you, and a little bit of a celebration for that on our campus. Now I want to talk briefly. I've shared these slides in several talks that I've done in town recently, and I shared it with the deans recently. I think Randy referred to them, but I'd like to share this with everyone, not just to highlight USC Sumter, but all of your campuses in my role as sort of data analyst for Palmetto College. As I say, I do this every year for our own campus, but you all know graduation rate. Of course, that's the percentage of students earning an associate's degree within 150% of program time, which would be 3 years for us. And success rate is those same students that graduate or transfer continuing studies after 150. And so many people argue that our mission is, to get them ready to transfer on. When you look at that, these are all the 2-year campuses in the state in the most recently reported cohort of the 2-year campuses. So this is the techs as well as our campuses. And you will see that all of us are in the top 10 in terms of graduation rates. I was very pleased to see that, certainly for us, having the highest graduation rate, but all of our sister schools and brother schools, y'all are doing great as well. And we're whipping the technical schools in this area, and that's something we can be proud of. In success rate, you see Union took it. They're at the top, so congratulations to Union. Randy mentioned that. Sumter's at 3, and Lancaster and Salk we're all in the top 5 in terms of success rate. So I take that as a metric that we're doing what we should be doing, and we should be celebrating that and keeping up the good work to tell our story of success. In physical plant, we have got a lot going on, and this is just a small list, frankly. We're upgrading the Swartz and Nettles parking lots, which our parking lots are just a disaster across campus. And so this is the big one that we're working on. It's probably halfway done. We're doing nursing renovations. They are almost complete. This is for our new BSN program in the library where we're going to house it. We've raised $500,000 plus in grants and private donations. We've already bought some sim mannequins and those kinds of things. We're undergoing mechanical replacement upgrades of HVAC in the student union building. Again, why we need a permanent director of buildings and grounds. And we are starting the phase. In fact, yesterday I had a meeting to select the architecture and engineering firms to start on our building science renovation, the second phase of that. And here are some pictures I thought I would share of the parking lot. It's pretty torn up. We've got new lights, new lamps from Duke, some new irrigation. You see the white pipe sticking up there. You see the fire ant up on the water tower. This is some of the pictures of the nursing room. Again, it's not finished, so these beds were donated by local hospitals. A bunch of supplies in the back. Here's a one-way mirror observation room. Here's a classroom that we've renovated for nursing. These are a few of the mailers that we have sent out for marketing material, getting people to apply and talking about parents and thanking our service members. These are the kind of initiatives that we've been pushing to try to get the word out, as I know all of you are. And I'm going to close with, if you'll indulge me, a 30-second, our newest video. And that did not work, did it? So let me see. There it is.
At the University of South Carolina Sumter, our faculty
The screen.
USC Sumter will always offer quality, affordable education that is close to your home.
USC Sumter has options to fit your needs. Whether you're looking to complete some of your general education requirements, earn an associate's degree, or work towards one of 19 bachelor's degree programs offered online through Palmetto College, no matter your path, USC Sumter can help you reach your goals. At the University of South Carolina Sumter, our faculty and staff are dedicated to keeping our students safe.
But USC Sumter will always.
All right. I hope I didn't lose you all in
Hey,
that.
Dean Sunday, you weren't actually sharing the video. You're still sharing your PowerPoint.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you share that PowerPoint as an application instead of sharing your screen?
I probably could if I knew how to do it.
Hey, to the right over underneath chat, there's your chat bubble. There's an arrow coming out of a square, and there's a gear icon. Do you see those?
Yeah.
Okay, you just click the middle one, the square with the arrow.
Yeah.
And you should tell me what options you get.
Yeah, share application screen, share camera, share files.
It's just share screen, and we should be able to see your video.
And that's that.
Minimize that.
Now, can you see it?
At the University of
No, sir.
Okay.
What's it? Is it?
I think I know what to do. Hang on just a second. Oh. Now I can't seem to even get back to where you are. There we are. Okay. There we are. Share. Now you can see it, right?
There it is. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for indulging me.
At the University of South Carolina Sumter, our faculty and staff are dedicated to keeping our students safe.
But USC Sumter will always offer quality, affordable education that is close to your home.
USC Sumter has options to fit your needs. Whether you're looking to complete some of your general education requirements, earn an associate's degree, or work towards one of 19 bachelor's degree programs offered online through Palmetto College, no matter your path, USC Sumter can help you reach your goals.
All righty. And that's the end of my report. Thank you all. Any questions?
All right, thank you, DeSante.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so we have a couple things coming up. Originally scheduled break, then time for committees to meet, and then a reconvening of our afternoon session. So that afternoon session will begin at 2:15, and stay connected, and we will then move you into the committee meetings, and then again when those finish, stay connected, and then near around 2:15 we'll reconvene. You'll be moved automatically back together. Okay. All right, Jean, do you have any additional updates for us?
No, that's all I have. We already have everyone set in their breakout groups, so in just a moment we will move you all in there, and if you want to start early, you can. And if you have any problems, you can always either chat with me through this or email me